What's up, legends? I hope you're all fantastic. I am tweaking some stuff on my FM9 at the moment on my live presets, and I figured I'd drag you all along for the ride. So my main live preset, you can see it's called 4 Live Stereo. Doesn't mean that it's 4 Live. That's an accidental pun, actually. It's because I'm using the Boogie Mark IV model as the main amp tone in there. I have 2 variations on this. I have a greasy version, which basically just adds a giant stereo pitch detune to all of it. I got to use that at a show we played last week. No, the week before on a Friday. And then I have a mono version for this residency that we're doing at a small club in town where the PA is monos. So why not have a mono version of the preset? Basically, the first scene sounds pretty much identical across all of them. There is a very slight room reverb. So these two are going to sound pretty similar, although you'll probably be able to pick the mono one if you listen really closely. And then the greasy one has massive pitch detune on it, so it will sound different. I'll just give you stereo, mono, and then like more stereo. So yeah, this one is a whole lot of fun. That pitch detune sounds ridiculous on the lead scene. We'll put a pin in that though and come back to it in a second. Basically, the lead scene I dialed in with the main stereo presets. So this is the default FM9 layout that you can load in here. If you go setup and you go FC controllers and you go all the way across, you can see you can choose between the factory defaults and then these factory default FM9 settings. I've got those loaded. I haven't really touched them and they just seem to work straight out of the box. That is one thing I've really been enjoying about how this works in a live setting for your kind of foot switching workflow. Anyway, I've got this preset. I can hit scenes. I have 4 scenes and then my next 4 scenes, which is pretty rad right there. I basically took my main FM3 live preset, and because I had spare space, I added a bunch of silly stuff like an envelope follower, octave down ring mod. And my lead scene with the same thing. Let's actually just look at the normal lead scene though. This is in stereo and I'm using the multi-tap delay. This is the entire layout on here. So let's just hit edit on that multi-tap. You can see I'm using the quad parallel delay. And in the actual delays, I have the first 2 delays set up as short delays because I'm using them for chorus, and then rhythmic delays here, a dotted 8th note and a quarter note delay there. And what am I doing with the master section? The EQ, sorry. One thing I want to tweak here is the FM9 lets you have the steeper filter slopes from the Axe FX3, and I normally like to set these to around 36 dB per octave, as high as they go. It's just gonna take out a little bit of low end and a little bit of high end from the delay feedback loop, which basically means your delays, you know, to me, they just kind of have their own space. They don't get in the way of your main sound. I'll leave the low cut where it is, but let's just play around with the high cut slope and have a listen to the difference. Yeah, they're a lot mellower. They're a little bit more like an old school analog delay, which I like. So I'm happy with that right there. Let's hit store on this particular preset. Actually, what I want to do is I want to navigate back to the main chunky scene and I'll hit store there so that it stores on scene number 1, which is what I want. Now, with my mono version of this preset, when I go to the lead scene, what I noticed live was that the delays were just a bit too loud. The reason being that I just set all the pan kind of to the middle, so it felt like it was kind of stepping on the main sound. I want lead, not delay. So there's a few ways I can deal with that. What I've been doing at the gig, and I've been forgetting to save, is on the per preset perform page, I have the multi-tap delay input gain set here, and I've been turning it down to about 80%. So I'm going to turn it down to 80%, and I'm actually going to hit store on this. Let's do that. And I just did the same thing again. I probably should have stored it when I'm on my chunk scene. I'll do that right now, just to teach myself a lesson when I watch this back and edit it. Anyway, let's have a listen to that now on the lead scene. I could bring it down more, but I feel like I'm gonna miss out on that kind of like chorusy thing going on. So instead of that, I'm gonna hit edit, and I'm going to go to the master section, and I'm gonna play around with the ducker on here. Basically, you can set the threshold, attenuation, and the release time for the ducking delay. So I'm gonna bring this up to like -40. These are just my kind of standard settings. We'll start here and tweak if we need to, about 12 dB of attenuation. And I like, let's go 150 milliseconds for the ducker release. So while I'm playing, the delays are gonna be turned down, but when I'm not playing, I'm still gonna have that big swell happening. That feels pretty good. I think I like that. So a cool little trick there is to use the ducker. I'm also gonna tweak the delay EQ on there. Maybe I can turn the delays up by doing this as well. I like that. And again, because this is in mono, I've gone a bit easier on it just because I don't have that stereo separation happening there. I like that a lot. I'm gonna go to chunk, and I'm gonna hit store on there. The question that came up from a few people who are AX8 users who are considering moving to an FM9, the AX8 had dedicated knobs for the amp controls, and you don't have that on the FM9, but you do have these 5 encoders, and you have a per preset perform page. Here I've assigned the things that I normally need to tweak at a gig, and the default global perform page, you can set the global perform page to be whatever you want, like the per preset ones, but they default to the amp controls. So you can see here I have the controls like bass, middle, treble. It looks weird. Remember, I'm using a Mark Series amp here, and all the stuff you would actually want to tweak on the fly. I would obviously want to tweak the graphic EQ on this amp when I'm dialing it in, not necessarily live though. So yeah, you can use these encoders, if you want a little bit more gain on your main sound there. Maybe you want to bring the treble up a little bit in the mid-range, depending on your guitar. I've been playing a few gigs with this guitar, which is a lot brighter than my normal PRS single cut. So maybe adding in a little bit of bass will be good on this one. I just generally consider this like the sound check page, where if you want instant access to your amp, and then this, if you do have to tweak anything while you go, you can do it there. Alrighty, I'm pretty happy with that. I might just turn the input drive down a little bit, maybe back to 6. And you know what? I am going to leave these amp settings where they are. I think they sound good with this guitar, and I'm playing this guitar tonight, so I'm gonna leave it saved there. I could save another copy of it for this particular guitar. There's so many preset slots, there's no reason why you can't do that. Okay, I said I was gonna show you that big greasy pitch detune scene. I wanna add something to this. Specifically, the 3rd channel of the multi-tap delay I've got set up for like a Lexicon PCM70 style circular delay, and I want to be able to access that. I don't have it by default on any of the scenes. My lead scene with pitch detune on top of it sounds like this. Over the top, silly, I love it. All right, this is how we can do this. If I go to the effects layout, you can see I don't have a chorus, a phaser, or a drive in this preset. So I'm gonna override one of these switches with a per preset FC switch. I can hit this, and let's do this. I don't wanna be on the overrides. I actually want to assign the per preset switch number 1. So let's set it to be an effect, and I want it to be a channel select. So when I press this button, it's going to turn the block on and it's going to select the channel that I want. I want the multi-tap delay, which is somewhere over here after the multi-comp, and I want to select channel C. Then I can set it as an override. I'm going to override this switch with per preset number 1. Look at that. Now, if I'm just kind of happily plotting and playing, let's go back to scenes. I'll start on my chunk scene because normally that doesn't have any delay on it. I can play with that, and then when I want my circular delay, I can press that button right there. The other thing that I've added to all of these presets as a kind of a break glass in case of emergency thing, we've been doing this Tuesday night gig where we'll often get our friends up to jam because we do 2 sets, is just to have a clean scene in there. So in the layout, you can see I have just added a second amp block. I think I'm using the band commander in here. Yep, band commander. Basically stock settings. The bass is down a little bit and the treble is up a little bit. Nothing too spectacular there. And I think, yeah, there's a bit of that pitch detune and a little bit of the multi-tap delay doing a chorus thing. So there's a pretty lovely, lush, clean sound. I think I changed the reverb type there as well. Did I change the reverb type? It kind of sounds like it. What has been added on the latest AXFX 3 firmware as well is like double tap functions for these encoders and the editor. Really, really handy. Hopefully they will get added to this very soon. Where am I? What am I doing? Reverb. Yep, chorus hall reverb on there. That one's a great, again, kind of reminds me of some of the Lexicon rack units right there. The last thing that I wanted to show you all, let's go to the controllers section here. I will move back to my chunk scene. You can see I'm on channel A of the controllers right here, and I have this ADSR assigned to, what do I have it assigned to? Let's go back to the layout. I think this filter block over here. So a few people were asking me about this. Here we go. So this is set as a low pass filter. I have attached ADSR 1 to the frequency in there. You can see I bumped up the Q to give that kind of classic shifting low pass filter thing. But if I'm on my chunk scene, the ADSR isn't doing anything and this block is bypassed. When I change to my lo-fi scene, watch this. This starts moving, but it moves in a preset pattern. The reason being, on the controllers menu, I change the channel on the controllers. This is a good little trick. So I basically set the input source for the ADSR to be input 1, but it's not really doing anything. It just goes. Essentially, that's the idea. So I can't really do this with my hands while I'm playing. Maybe I'll just play a low string or something, but this is kind of fun. So I would be playing on my main chunky scene. There would be a quiet part in a song with no drums and bass, and I would kick this lo-fi scene in. So we get this. So that's what's going on there. That's a really, really fun thing. It sounds so cool when it happens live. And because I've got extra kind of CPU headroom, I added 2 more scenes to this using a ring modulator for an octave down and another envelope filter block in there. Basically, you get this kind of disgusting, squelchy kind of sound. And then the lead version. So yeah, that's what's going on there. I only really needed to kind of add that override here on the effects layout, and then on the mono scene, I just kind of need to tweak my lead delay a little bit. So do that. Let's make sure that we hit store there. I feel like there was something else that I wanted to have a look at. Did I tweak those filters on the multi-tap delay? Let's see. Let's go back to the layout. I'm just kind of talking to myself at this point. I will play you all out in a second though. So where was I? Lead scene. I didn't. I have to tweak these filter slopes on this. Let's have a listen to that. Oh, this is gonna be so ridiculous. I love it. I'll go on the chunk, and I think I'll play you all out on this one. So I'll hit save on that preset. If you have any specific questions, please let me know in the comments below. And thanks for just getting dragged along while I kind of fine tune this for another gig tonight. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Take it easy.